Welcome back. In the previous series, we have discussed about the ethnobotanical survey, how many type of the ethnobotanical survey is there, how to conduct the survey and how to prepare the herbarium sheet. We were discussing about the different steps for preparation of herbarium. So, this is the drying part. The plant specimen should be dried as quickly as possible before the tissue have time to decay. Change the drying specimen every day at least for first few days, because if you will not change the specimen, it may be contaminated by the fungal. Drying of specimen may be without artificial heat, that is universal and satisfactory, or with artificial heat. Without artificial heat, plant are pressed in pressing paper between blotters. Corrugate are not used in this method. Plant press is locked for 24 hours. This is called sweating period. When sweating period is over, press is unlocked, blotters are removed and pressed paper are turned back. Disadvantage of this technique: much longer time is needed for drying the specimen. Blotters are to be changed at least 3 or 4 times during the entire process, and wet ones are to be dried in the sun before using them again. A large number of blotters are needed. Less number of specimen can be processed per collectors. Specimens dried without artificial heat are liable to be infected by fungi, as we have already discussed, because much time is taken in complete drying. Larvae present within the flowers eat away some of the important parts. Labor cost of drying per specimen is higher. The next is with artificial heat. Corrugate are invariably used, which provides air passage to the plant press for circulation of dry and heat air. The specimens are locked tightly within the field press for 24 hours. It is called sweating period, as we have discussed in the previous slide also. After the specimen have sweat, specimen are rearranged. Specimens are put again in the drying press, locked with less pressure, and are allowed to be dry with the aid of artificial heat. For providing heat, gasoline stove, kerosene lamp, coal fire, electric bulbs and hot steam pipes are used. Even large electric oven may be taken into service, and plant press is kept inside it as a suitable temperature. A disadvantage of this particular technique: some disadvantages are pointed out by the scientist Fernald in 1945. Plant specimen become brittle during drying. Specimens lose their gluescence or waxy bloom and even color. Sometimes the specimen get permanently marked with the ridges of corrugates. Poisoning of the specimen should be done immediately after collection. Poisoning kills the plants and thereby prevent the formation of abscission layer and decaying. Poisoning chemicals are mercury chloride, lauryl, pentachlorophenate, that is known as LPCP, formalin, fumigate like methiobromide, carbon disulfate or carbon tetrachloride, and even PDP. The mounting specimen as well pressed, dried and poisoned, it is affixed with label on a mounting sheet, or we can say the standard size of herbarium sheet should be 42 into 28 centimeter approximately, or we can say the 16 and half and 11 and half inch. Precautions for during the mounting: mount only one specimen on one sheet. Lower part of the plant should be at the base of the sheet. Label should be pasted, printed on the right hand bottom of the sheet. Mounting is done either by gluing the specimen on the sheet or by stitching. Labeling: herbarium sheet is given in a final touch by pasting a label at its lower right hand corner. The label is of size 11 into 7 centimeter, but its size may vary by 1.2 centimeter or either side. The label must contain the following information like the flora by which the plant has been identified, name of the family, botanical name, local name, habitat, flower color, then habitat, then locality, altitude, biological uses, date of the collection, collector, number and other information. Storing: specimens are stored in wooden or steel almirahs for safe deposit and future record. These almirahs are essentially designed with 2 to 3 tiers of pigeon holes. Specimens are arranged in almirahs according to any internationally recognized system of plant classification after identification. Each specimen is kept in a folded species cover which is lighter in weight and smaller in dimension than genus cover. Herbarium: collection of dried plant specimen mounted on sheet of paper. The plants are usually collected in situ, that is where they were growing in nature, identified by expert, pressed and then carefully mounted to achievable paper, or we can say the herbarium sheet. Major morphological characteristics are visible, that is both sides of leaves and floral structure. I gave you some instruction in the previous slide also. The one side should be dorsal and other side should be ventral when you are pressing the plant material. The mounted plants are labeled with their proper scientific name, the name of the collector. The specimens are commonly filled in cases according to families and genres and available for ready references, because it is very difficult to find it out if you will scatter the plant specimen in non-scientific manner. The size of the herbarium we have already discussed. The standard size of herbarium is 28 into 42 centimeter or 16 and half and 11 and half inch approximately. Now we will discuss the Some major herbarias nationally and internationally renowned. Royal Botanical Garden, Kew. It was established in 1853 and the number of specimens are 7,000,000, means the 70 lakhs specimen are there in that particular herbarium. It's located in Kew. Next is Museum National de Historique Naturelle. It was established in 1635 and the number of specimens are 95 or we can say the 95 lakhs, and location is, it is situated in Paris, France. Komarov Botanical Institute was established in 1714 and number of specimens are in that particular herbarium is 71 lakhs and 60,000. It is situated in Russia. British Museum of Natural History. It was established in 1753 and number of specimens are 52 lakhs, and it is located in London, UK. Then New York Botanical Garden, it was established in 1891 and number of specimens are 78 lakhs, and it is situated in United States. New York is very popular place. Mussoorie Botanical Garden, established in 1859 and number of specimens are 66 lakhs. Location is Mussoorie, United States. Central National Herbarium, it was established in 1882 and number of specimen in this particular herbarium are 20 lakhs and is located in India, that is in Kolkata, West Bengal. Forest Research Institute, commonly known as FRI, it was established in 1819 and number of specimens are 3,40,000 and it is located in Dehradun, Uttarakhand, India. Botanical Survey of India, that is known as BSI, situated in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. It's a southern regional center of BSI, established in 1955 and number of specimens are 2,59,000. Botanical Survey of India, Eastern Circle, was established in 1956 and number of specimens are 2,25,000 and it is located in Shillong, Meghalaya, India. Agarkar Research Institute was established in 1946 and number of specimens are 20 lakhs and it was located in Pune, Maharashtra, India. Royal Botanical Garden, National Herbarium of Victoria was established in 1853 and number of specimens are 15 lakhs and it was located in South Yarra, Australia. National Museum of Nature and Science was established in 1871 and number of specimens are 15 lakhs. It was located in Japan. South African National Biodiversity Institute, it was located in South Africa and number of specimens are 12 lakhs. National Museum of Kenya was established in 1910 and number of specimens are 10 lakhs and it is located in Kenya. Next is a Chinese National Herbarium. It was established in 1929 and number of specimens are 24 lakhs and 70,000 and is located in China. Indonesia Institute of Science was established in 1967 and number of specimens are 20 lakhs and it is located in Bongor, West Java, Indonesia. Australian National Museum Herbarium was established in 1853 and total number of specimens are 13 lakhs 28,000 and it is located in Canberra, ACT, Australia. Royal Botanical Garden National Herbarium of New South Wales was established in 1816 and number of specimens are 10 lakhs and is located in Sydney, New South Wales, NSW, Australia. Howard University Herbaria, it was established in 1842 and number of specimens are 50 lakhs 5,000 and is located in Cambridge, United States. Field Museum was established in 1893 and number of specimens are 27 lakhs and is situated in Chicago, United States. University and Jepson Herbaria, it was established in 1895 and number of specimens are 22 lakhs and it is located in United States, that is California. Jardim Botanico do Rio de Janeiro, it was established in 1808 and number of specimens are 8 lakh 37,000 and it is located in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Fundación Miguel Leo was established in 1931 and number of specimens are 7 lakhs and it is situated in Argentina. These are the some most popular herbaria of national and international repute. We have discussed all kind of the herbarium preparation technique and other things in the lecture. I will conclude with the summary of the lecture. We have just taken the what kind of the survey and what are the different type of the survey, anthropological, biological, what are the different steps of the preparation of the survey, what are the requirement for the field trip and what are the equipment for the field survey. And we have already discussed the different type of herbarium established by the different countries and in India. We know the herbarium is very essential part for a ethnobotanist and for a taxonomist also, because it's a ready reference to identify the plant material, because if you are going to conduct the survey in the different areas and you are unable to identify the plant material from the field, so you just make your specimen and send the specimen to the concerned institute. That institute may be BSI or the NISCARE. You will send your herbarium, and after analysis by the scientist with the very keenly observation of the plant and with the help of the different floras available by the BSI and the NISCARE, you will get to know what plant it is, because we are doing the research in the different area of the plant science, but sometimes we are unable to identify the plant material. Even you are able to do the so much of the research, and at the end you are unable to identify the plant material, or sometimes a wrong identification may be there. So your all hard work will be lose, or lose the hard work whatever you have done in your research. So it's my suggestions to the all the reviewers or the botanists or the students of the botany. It's very essential to go to the field, because you are unable to see all these things in the books, but if you will go to the field, you are able to identify what is the plant habitat and how the plant is growing in the field, and what are the precautions you have to take whenever you are going to the field, what kind of the precautions you have to take whenever you are collecting the plant material from the field. Because it's being a botanist, it's very necessary to not to remove the complete plant or complete population of the particular plant, because if you will remain put some plants in the field, so it will be the regenerate and grow to see by the other group of the people wants to visit the particular area. So I conclude here only, or we can discuss the some more points regarding the herbarium and regarding the plant field collection. As we have discussed in the field survey, because of the nature is nature is our mother, you have to conserve it. This is the way to conserve the nature, to conserve the plant, to conserve the ethnic knowledge, to conserve the traditional knowledge, because people are doing the laboratory work, but nowadays very less people are working in the field. People are working on the so many areas in the laboratories, but in this area, especially in the ethnobotany, very few people are working in the area of ethnobotany, but it's the real botany, and the ethnobotanists are doing very good job to conserve the plants, to conserve the traditional knowledge, to conserve the endangered plant, to conserve the ethnic culture, to conserve the folklore things, to conserve our diversity. So it's a basic need of the ethnobotanical survey is preparation of herbarium. Now we will continue this series to the next lecture with the other aspect of the ethnobotanical survey and ethnobotany, how we will conduct the survey and how we can make the eco-friendly to the different ethnic group, and how we can gather the information from the tribal people who is unable to share the things with the scientists or the researchers or the other people. So thank you very much.